So wait, if you give me a second, I'll give instructions and then you can take over. So this is another virtual meeting for the township. It's our Parks and Rec meeting. We take public comment in one of 4 ways. You can drop public comment off at the blue drop box in front of the township building, and we would have checked that. You can raise your hand during the Zoom meeting, and we would take public comment that way as well. In addition, we also take public comment through somebody who's called in by the phone. If by chance you don't know how to make the system work, you can always send public comment to publiccomment@newtowntownship.org. Again, that's publiccomment@newtowntownship.org. And by doing so, I will be monitoring that, and you can, if you give your information that you want to speak and that you're on the call, we will bring that in and I will recognize you to speak. Or if you are wanting just to send in the public comment and have us read it into the record, we'll take it that way as well. Wade, you can take over.
Okay, so under old business, the Greer Park Master Plan Committee did meet Monday night to make a decision on keeping or removing the pond at Greer Park as part of the master plan. We came to a point in the master plan where the footprint needs to be defined enough to position the playground and the other equipment in the park itself. So we came to a bottleneck. We had to make a decision. We made that decision. We're going to write up our recommendation in a presentation to the Board of Supervisors and present that to them on the 14th or 15th, whatever the month that Monday is, and let them decide on the decision on the ponds. And then, so the next item is Bocce Ball Court. This was in the budget request. I don't know if it was approved, and if it was, how do we proceed from here? Do you know, Steve?
I do. Yes, it was in the budget, and George and I talked this afternoon, so I'm going to let George kind of guide us through this since he's the one who's going to be helping you through the process.
Okay.
Sure. So the things that were in that Park and Rec had requested in the capital budget for 2021 are part of the approved budget. So we're going to be working toward implementing those things. We're going to do it cautiously because you still don't know what could potentially happen as a result of the COVID and the fallout from it. But something like the Bocce Ball Court and the basketball court painting and things like that are something we want to start making preparations for, so that when the weather is right and the finances look like they're in good shape at that point, then we can move forward on them.
So it's going to take some planning to do both of those things, the basketball and the bocce.
Yes, and we should start, planning that way. That is something I think we're going to want to start right after the first of the year, looking at our timeline and the work we're going to do. So the bottom line is they're a go. We're just going to be cautiously approaching it, but it's a go. Now, one of the challenges that Steve and I were kind of talking about a little is that there is a vaccine, and they're talking about the implementation process of that vaccine. That doesn't mean that at the beginning of spring everything's going to be back to normal. By the time you look at when everybody will have hopefully received their 2 vaccinations, and if everything's gone right, I mean, you could be looking at the end of spring, beginning of summer before some normalcy is really returning. But again, I think we position ourselves so that we're, we have things like the Bocce Ball Court and the basketball courts implemented and ready to go for people.
Okay, understood. And hopefully, the guidelines will be much clearer in the spring.
Yeah.
That might allow us alone, if the guidelines say do this, that, and the other, and we can do that safely, then maybe we can.
Exactly. Steve, did I misspeak on anything there?
You didn't. The only thing that I would add is that I think it would be beneficial, and you may have said this and I just missed it because I know you were saying several things, but I think it would be good to set your priorities as a group and not try to do all your projects at one time. And so, as George and I talked, we would have some ideas about what those priorities were, but you as a group may come back and say, the bocce ball court's more important than getting the basketball court repainted. But if we set it like as a 1 through, 10 on the list of what you want to accomplish next year, it's not that we're not going to accomplish all 10. I hope we can accomplish all 10, but that we set the direction, and we can have multiple projects going at the same time. But we just want to make sure that, if we say that, let's say we say the bocce ball court is, number 1, then that ought to be where we make sure we put our emphasis to make sure that gets done. And if it requires a certain amount of staff time, that we know from staff, this is where we're putting our energy initially to get us started.
And guys, if I could bring up one point is, we'd want to jump on the bocce ball, getting supplies quicker, because I know there was an issue with lumber being at astronomical rates when we were getting this quote, and the stone. So they were talking about, from a supply standpoint, it'd be better to order things closer to the January, February time period when prices are not at the high when we get into full spring.
Absolutely. And I think we want to do that. I just think if you set your priorities, then you know where you want to go.
Okay.
And we'll see where we're at with the planning, just to make sure, I just want to make sure we're okay with all the materials before we order anything. So we know exactly what we're doing. So I'd rather do a lot of planning first before we order anything, just to be certain. I don't want to waste money either. But it is a good idea to order as soon as possible. If we can do it in January, we'll try.
Yeah.
And as far as the paint scheme goes, I have not heard back from the high school art teacher. She seemed extremely interested, and I assume that she still is. There's going to be some issues with COVID and social distancing and all that, even during the planning of this. And so I assume that she's going to have to do some of this, if not all of it, online at some point. So I started to think, maybe making this as easy as possible is probably best. So I thought, with all the division that we have in the country today, maybe we could try to do something to bring us back together, if we can, just in our little community here. So I was thinking that if all of our members, whoever wants to, provides 3 words or 3 phrases that kind of represent unity, or maybe could bring us back together, just send those words to me and the phrase. I'll send some better direction out in a presentation, and just respond to that. And then I was going to ask the art teacher to form a committee with the students and have them do the same thing. And then I would assemble our list, and then any duplicates, note the duplicates, and then pass that list to them. They could do the same with their list, and then match the 2 lists. And if there's anything that's in common, perhaps they could use that as an idea for a theme. I would hope at the end of the day, it's a beautiful paint scheme that people look at and appreciate, and hopefully find community in it. It's just something I thought of. I don't know if everybody's okay with that or not.
I think it's a great idea, Wade.
All right. So I'll write up some kind of presentation and send it out.
Please.
Okay.
Great.
And then the paint scheme for the bathroom at Drexel Lodge Park, I haven't heard back. The Culbertson teacher did respond. and she just was like in a panic. I don't know whether I misrepresented is this being a short-term project, but she didn't have time, and COVID was just, making her life hard. So I'm going to reach out to, I think it's Warren or Russell, where the elementary school shares Newtown and Marple children, and to come up with some ideas similar to the basketball scheme that she could do virtually and easily. So if anyone has any ideas on what we might be able to do there, just send me an email or call me, and we'll get that together. Hopefully, I think this other art teacher, I talked to my daughter, she's a school teacher over there, and she said that this woman loves this kind of project, so she probably will be interested.
Good.
And then the water bottle filling station, we did talk about that, and I think that's probably the COVID restricted item. That got approved as well.
It did, and I think that's a good way of saying it. It would probably want to be one of the later projects that I think we would want to tackle. Just as we start feeling like it's not an issue that we would have to try to figure out how to keep it sanitized.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess we can start planning that in the spring or something, talking about it once we find out when we're going to be totally safe. And then the bat boxes, we talked last time, we were going to move them somewhere where there's wetlands, either in the back of Greer or over at Drexel Lodge. I haven't been out there myself to try and find any locations. I don't know if you did, Peter.
No, I haven't, but I think Greer, we looked over at Drexel, and they were too close to the drive and where kids would be, and so I'm thinking, I went over to Greer the other day. I rode my bike over and just sat down by the pond, but there's a lot of open space there. I think that might be I didn't really catch where the sun was going. I think it was a cloudy day, and so I wasn't thinking about bat boxes, but I think Greer might be, there's a lot of, as you said, open space that nobody walks on, but maybe the bats could fly over and go to the houses.
All right, we'll have to be careful that we're not going to put them in a location that might be disturbed as well. So the rear of the park is probably best.
Yeah, I'll go over and do a walkabout with you if you want sometime.
Okay, yeah, just give me a call.
Okay.
Wade, if you're going to be putting the Greer boxes for the Wade back at the wetlands area, can you add some to Brookside, because they also have an identified wetlands down at Brookside beyond the play area, and because it being a wetland, there is a propensity for mosquitoes and all that to gather. So a bat box would be great there to kind of control the mosquito issues in the township.
Okay, I think we're going to try and group them, so maybe we'll do two groups there.
Okay.
One in Brookside, one in Greer.
Okay.
If they're for an open space, would they be up on a pole? Will we be installing a pole for them as well?
I think we're going to try trees. My understanding is it won't damage the tree, and the pole. I don't know. The pole would probably be more costly. And
right. I just heard say something about open space and putting it on a tree don't sound like they are together.
So apparently they drop out of the box and then they open their wings and start flying. So they need enough space between the bottom of the box and the ground to get flight. So a tree, from everything I've read, will work just fine.
All right.
There's probably less chance of them being disturbed if they're attached to a tree as opposed to being on a pole in the middle.
Yeah.
And then Peter, the disc golf course, I don't know if we're in a great spot to be doing this right now with COVID kind of rearing its ugly head.
Yeah, ramping up, I know. Well, I think it's something we should put off until we see after, the new year how, how many people are still getting sick and where that virus has taken us. I can, it's definitely wet out there right now. Just with all the rain, coming tomorrow and tomorrow night and just this last week, I don't think people are going to be thinking, let's go over and play disc golf. Even if,
So we'll cross it off the list and we'll just keep the placeholder for May.
Yeah, and because it's not, it wouldn't be a hard thing to set up overnight almost. I mean, I could do it and, just go out and find some places and spray paint and put some poles in the ground and, come up with a score sheet, and hopefully that Dukes of Destiny will be playing for us.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, should we just plan on that? Aren't we planning that around the same time of the concert? So can't we tentatively plan that for like around the May period that we're going to be starting? Because nobody's going to be going really playing disc golf in the cold weather. So if we start around May, at least we have a target, and everything's contingent upon COVID, obviously.
Sure. And, I could even lay it out in April, just so that we could all, as a committee, we could all go out and try it together.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we have them playing the same day, Sheila.
Yep.
Like we did this year. Remember, we had disc golf, and then the concert was going to follow after.
Yep. Yeah.
We're just going to follow that same plan.
That's a great plan.
And the trees that were planted at Brookside Park, George did take the straps down and the stakes. I think all of the bark is protected, has a protector on it now there as well.
Yeah, we made sure that there was deer protection on all of them. They had deer protection on them, but a lot of it had been rubbed off, so we made sure it was affixed pretty strongly.
Right. And you were able to remove the stakes on all of them. And I know one of the neighbors, the Ross, Michelle Ross and her husband did take a look at them. What about, we didn't set up the date to meet George about going into looking at the vines to try to identify them and start?
No, as soon as we have a few minutes to rub together, we're going to look to do that.
Right. Now, I believe Harry spoke with Michelle and Sam Ross, and he said to them that you guys took care of the trees, but if we wanted to have a go at getting into the wooded area to do the vines, but I really wanted you kind of have some guidance on that, because right now is a great time, even though it's cold. It's great because all the leaves are down. You see a clear path to where the roots are coming. So if we can get into the vines soon, I don't mind the cold. And if we want to grab some people.
Yeah, as soon as we can get through leaf season, because that's our number one priority, and that's literally what everybody's doing. But as soon as that's done, the looking at these vines is high on my list.
All right, thank you. I won't let you forget.
I'm shocked.
Hey, count me in on that one, Sheila.
Peter, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll bring my loppers.
I can get there as well.
Yeah.
It'll be a party.
Yeah, maybe you could send out an announcement when, because I'm near there too, and I have a little saw that I can bring.
And I also thought when we get there, if we kind of go a chance and go through with George, we do a quick walkthrough, we can maybe spray paint the base of the vines that we're looking at, like a fluorescent orange or something. And that way we can come back at another time to do the rest of the cutting, but at least George knows what we're cutting. And I just want to get his permission on whatever we're doing in the parks. That's all.
Yeah. And I've got some people I want to bring with me when we do that.
Perfect.
Well, let us know, George. I would love to do it, because being outside is better than inside.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, probably late December, early January, but I'll shore that up with you.
Great. Yeah, no big rush, but yeah, I think you're right, Sheila, about, the trees being bare of all leaves and, getting clear sight and all that. So
we actually do in Public Works, we do a lot when we're able, when the weather allows us. We do a lot of our tree work in the parks in February.
No, February works too.
So on there, when we were talking about the parks too, I know you the issue of that trash, that's a separate issue, but the one, we identified that area on Brookside by, the road there. Did you get a chance to look at that, George? Where the water was washing away at the base of the road, right by the stop sign?
Yeah, I'm aware of that spot.
Okay, and that's where people were also, that's a separate issue from the 2.12 issue, but there was trash being dumped there as well.
Yeah, we've got some trash issues over there.
Yeah, well, what I'm worried about is the apartments and people that have to pay for their trash are finding new creative ways to get rid of it on our properties, and that's not cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's all over, unfortunately.
I went down and looked at it, Sheila. I thought it was just the trash can that had blown.
No,
over
I saw, that
in
was
the-
a different day. Wade, I saw that
Okay.
issue. That was nowhere near where we're talking about.
All right. Okay.
Are you saying, Sheila, that like big bagfuls just being
Yes.
chucked off the back of a truck?
Yes.
Okay.
And they also already have that, you know, the side, George, on Bryn Mawr Avenue where they always dump.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's always being dumped, but this
Yeah,
was a different area.
And the new business is actually a duplication of old business. So I think I had new business somewhere, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, do you want me to read it? I have it here. Do you want me to read it?
No, I have it. It's just Greer Park over again. It's the same.
Yeah.
Same as item A. So
Gotcha.
yes. Does anyone have anything else?
Stay home and stay safe.
Well, I did talk with Rich from Marple Newtown Recreation Center, and I told him that we were looking for exciting plans that we could offer to the community for free in our parks, obviously depending upon COVID. And I was asking him if he could, he has all the contacts from different programs that they offer. I wanted us to use the program, you know, that he offers through Marple Newtown Recreation, so we're not competing with them. But I asked him if any of his instructors would do free classes for us. And I specifically wanted to do some of the arts, some of the sciences, or some of those like in science in the park concept or art in the park, or fun activities that would be done outside, and trying to see if we could use some of his instructors. So he's going to look into a couple things to see if he comes up with any ideas. But if you guys know of anyone, I do need them to be background checked. I do need to make sure that they, you know, the instructor has been certified. You know, even if we're doing it with one of us being present, we just need to make sure all of those parameters are met. So if you guys have any ideas for free outside activities in the park that we can do that are coordinating with our vision and our purpose of Parks and Rec, let me know and we'll get on that.
So you're talking for children or adults, any age group? Just
yeah. And I just was asking him for, you know, because we were doing yoga, we've done Tai Chi, we've done a variety of classes, and we just wanted to see what else we could offer. But it has to be free. It has to be for the community and has to be available for anyone that walks in the door. But if we're talking with children, we need to have the background check on the instructor to make sure that they're compliant, because I don't want any of that nonsense. I want to make sure that we're in full compliance with any instructors for children, but adults, you don't need that same threshold. So Rich is going to let me know if he's thinking of some, and he's going to let me know. And then if not, we'll look into maybe possibly, he's thinking maybe his Pilates teacher or his Zumba teacher might be do a class for us for free. So I'll let you know. But if you guys have any suggestions, let me know.
how about the art teacher or the tattoo artist?
Well, you were going to follow up with him.
Okay,
Because
I have not heard back from him. I think I'm going to give him a call.
Yeah.
I reached out through email, so.
Yeah, and his wife is the teacher, and she's already been the certified program, so that's why they're a good fit. But he would be doing an art program for the children. But if you guys think of anything else, you know, again, we want to plan, expecting COVID to still be a situation, so we plan accordingly. But we can still, just like this summer, execute a plan and be safe and still provide great community events for free.
You know, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, when I was back at in my 6th grade classroom, we had activities, and I had to come up with, you know, everybody, all the teachers had to come up with like a sewing activity or cooking. I came up with a thing called orienteering, which was,
Oh, yeah.
it was a great hit. Girls and boys got into it. And I set up little, we got the little compasses, and I'd give them this, how many steps over to the next waypoint, and they had to figure out how to get their compasses just adjusted perfectly. And it was a nice field event. You didn't have to go up into the woods. You just, you had, and then I had at the end a bag of candy when they got to the last point.
That's cool.
So orienteering is it's a really wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Pete, maybe if you could talk with the Boy Scouts, and maybe you can get a Scoutmaster who is certified in that, and that way we can get them to maybe provide the class or something like that.
I would like them to do it, not me. I've already done it.
But I'm saying because that way he's already certified, because if we're doing anything with the children, we want to make sure that's the protocol we're following. But
Okay.
if you know any, Boy Scout there's a couple in the community that we can reach out to if you really think that's a viable interest for the kids. Do you think that would be anyone else?
Yeah, well, I can ask, and I'll find the troops. There are 2 troops, are there?
Yes, I know. St. Annie's has a troop, and there's 2 or 3 troops in this area, right? George, aren't you with Boy Scouts?
Yeah. I know Troop 315, which is based out of St. Anastasia. You got the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts. There's a couple others that kind of graze the area. So I can find out what they are.
Yeah, we have friends up on Mary Jane Lane, the Quinns. They send their kids to St. Annie, so there's my contact.
Yeah, there you go.
And if you can, Peter, make sure it's kind of both boy and girl option if we're going to do a community class, so we don't separate.
Right. Well, it'll be boys versus girls.
Well, we would win.
Oh, Sheila, you're going to lead the girls. I'll lead the boys, and we'll see who gets to the end first.
This meeting is being recorded, Peter. Remember?
I know. I know. I got you. I'm not going anywhere else with it. I got my say in.
George, could you please mute him, please?
I wasn't slow enough on the mute.
Yeah, you should have. You muted me when you shouldn't have unmuted me, actually. So I told Judith I would behave myself tonight. So,
okay, so
starting right now. Okay.
The purpose, Peter is on silence. Peter, anyone else? We are setting up interest of programs for the community in parks events. So anything you guys can think of, please let me know. But we need to at least start the process of planning. Because believe it or not, even though it sounds like it's December 3rd, before you know it, we're going to be sitting at March being like, holy cow, how are we going to do this? So let's do it now while we're into the slow time, because we're going to have Earth Day coming up in April, May. We're going to have so many things. We have a boatload of trees, but, a lot of great things coming on. And did you guys, by the chance, since we're talking about Parks and Rec, did you guys see Newtown Square in bloom? The trees, how fantastic they look, being planted on 252 on private property with the Newtown Square and Bloom Tree Initiative. Isn't that awesome?
Where are these trees?
Didn't you see them being planted on 252?
Well, I saw them tearing trees down on Route 3, but...
No, Peter, that's not constructive. That's destructive conversation. We're talking about the positive trees.
I know, I want to go positive. Where on 252?
Right along by the Colonial Village, Newtown Square and Bloom put those in. Boron paid for them. There's 15 trees that are going in. They were planted on private property, and I was so excited this week they went in. It's a big win, and I know that they're going to be working on a press release. But why it relates to us is because they're doing the great stuff of planting trees.
Nice. Is this over by the tavern?
On 252. I'm going to I'll send you a picture, Peter, and I'll
orient
you or where the trees are.
And directions on how to get there, please. Sorry. Thank you, Sheila.
Bill, you joined us late. Do you have anything?
No, I'm fine.
Did you want us to review anything for you, or?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Wade.
All right, so I guess we're done.
So
Thank you.
I am going to ask George to come next time with the list of all the projects that are going to be happening in the parks next year. And that way you guys can go ahead and start doing your priorities, like what you think ought to be the priorities. And then we can work with that with staff just to make sure we're on the same page. So
Great.
if that makes sense. The other thing I'm looking at, and I apologize, let me pull my calendar up on my phone real quick. Typically, we are the first Thursday of the month, which will be not a problem. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because there will be one of the members of this board will rotate off, and there'll be or not necessarily rotate off, but could potentially rotate off. And I wanted to make sure that they would be appointed again. And so the Board of Supervisors appoints on the 4th of January, and then your first meeting is the 7th of January.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, so are you telling me that Peter might be off this committee?
I'm guaranteeing I'm going to make sure the board reappoints him just for you.
I'm not even on this committee. I am a volunteer. I am not.
I know. And that's what we don't get, Sheila. We don't get, why, are you getting paid under the table by somebody?
I'm on EAC, so I'm on EAC, and so I can do good in both places.
Well, you do great in every place, I'm sure you go.
Oh,
You're a
dear
mover
God. Okay, cut it
You're a
down.
mover and
I'm piling
shaker.
on
You
now.
are. All right. Okay.
He's dug the hole. He's dug the
All
hole. All right, guys. Have a great Christmas. Happy Christmas,
You
everyone.
too.
Take care.
Merry
God bless you.
Christmas.
Merry.
You too.
All right.
Love y'all.
See you all
Bye-bye.
next year.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.